Just as what ifs try to control the future, if onlys try to control the past. What ifs worry that God won't bring things into our lives that are good. And if only says he didn't. Hey there. Are you a Christian woman who's ready to strengthen your faith and stop the madness in your mind? The worry, doubt, anxiety. Do you want something more for your life but are not sure where to even begin? You've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Kristin Campbell. I'm excited that you're here as we journey together to discover mindset renewal and empowered faith for the Christian woman. Alrighty, we are going to dive into these if-only thoughts today because I did not get a chance to cover them in my last episode. So if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to that episode yet, please do. The strategy that I shared with how to deal with those what-if thoughts, the ones that lead to worry and anxiety, that strategy really helped me overcome my own battle, and I'm confident it will help you as well. So please go back and listen to that first episode. It's going to be worth it. I'm not going to repeat myself too much from that episode. At least I'll try not to. But again, this topic is so rich, and I can talk about this for days. And I probably will, so just stay tuned. But I want you to remember that this if only intrusive thought, this is a common tactic of the enemy to get our trust off of God. And if onlys are just as black and white as what ifs. So when we come into agreement, when we entertain these if only thoughts, we are not trusting God, period. It is black and white. And we all have these thoughts. Even in the Bible, look at Martha regarding the death of Lazarus. She runs up and she says to Jesus, if only you would have been here. And even Jeremiah, a great prophet, says, if only I had never been born. This is not new. This tactic has lasted this long because it works. We fall for it. We make things easy for Satan sometimes, but not anymore. So let's look at this a little bit closer. If only thoughts arise when we are focused on what we don't have. And usually they're born out of a current and real problem or issue that we're facing. So let me give you an example. After college, I started taking courses to get my master's in social work. And for many different reasons, at the time, I decided not to continue down that path. That was it. Decision made, life went on, not really a big deal. It wasn't until years later that I think I was only casually looking for some jobs. And I saw one that seemed really interesting, seemed like it would be really wow, that'd be a cool job. And I saw that it required a master's degree. And all of a sudden, this flood of if only thoughts just knocked me out. And what's crazy is it had been so many years that my mind began to create if-onlys that weren't even relevant. They weren't even true. So it wasn't just, if only I had finished my master's. It was like, if only I wasn't so lazy. If only I wasn't afraid. If only I wasn't my brain was making up stuff. And all of that just was coming at me. And I got so sick to my stomach with regret. Like, that pit in your stomach. And these if onlys just kept coming. And my focus began to narrow in on my not having a master's degree. I developed serious tunnel vision, and it was all I could think about. Because in my eyes, it was the ultimate reason that I would not succeed. And I'm laughing about it now, but it was really serious at the moment. And forget the fact that I didn't even know if I really wanted the job or if they were going to hire me anyways, but not having that master's degree, that regret became my focus. And I became depressed. I became angry. I was angry at myself. And then I started getting angry at every other life choice that followed, whether it was relevant or not. And it just started me down this nasty path. And all of a sudden, that one decision years ago ruined my life. When not even 24 hours earlier, I totally forgot I even made that decision. It's astounding how fast if-onlys can take us down. And once that door is open, it spreads so far into every area of our life. I found myself just if-onlying everything. If only I left the house 5 minutes earlier. If only I bought that frozen pizza I had in my hand. If only I got gas yesterday. And on and on. Can anyone relate to what I'm saying? The problem is, when we do this, we enter this dangerous world of fantasy, often romanticizing how our life could have gone. It's as if our life becomes a choose your own adventure book. Do you remember those? I mean, I know I'm dating myself here, but basically these books, you would get to a part of the story and you would have a choice. Do you want to go into the cave? Go to page 24. Do you want to go around the mountain? Go to page 36. And you got to see how each choice ended. And while it's a really cool concept for a children's book, it doesn't work in life because that's fiction. And when we indulge in this type of thinking, we are internally reinforcing this notion that we know better how our life should have gone. And really, we're telling God that he messed up in what he allowed us to go through. Just as what ifs try to control the future, if onlys try to control the past. What ifs worry that God won't bring things into our lives that are good. And if only says he didn't. Yet Psalm 145:9 says the Lord is good to all. And Jeremiah 29:11 says that his plan for our lives are good. So who's right? It's not us. Listen. We either trust God with our past, trusting that he meant what he said in Romans 8:28, that he will work all things. All includes our mistakes and our bad choices, and we all have them. Yes, we have made some wrong choices in our life. Yes, we have made mistakes. And guess what? We're going to make more bad choices and we're going to make more mistakes. We are not perfect. So we're not denying that these mistakes or bad choices or just choices happened, but can we trust God with those? Can we trust Romans 8:28 that he will work all things, all of our choices, whether we call them good or bad, can we trust that He's going to work them together for our good? Or do we not trust that? And, we can hold on to the regrets. We can hold on to the anger. We can hold on to the depression and the grumbling and the complaining. But I really want you to think about this. Is that what you want? Look, God is long-suffering. He will wait on you. He has no time constraints. But we do. Our humanness has a time limit on earth. Our days are numbered. So how do you want to spend them? I want you to understand that God is just as much in control of our past as He is our present and our future. He identifies Himself to Moses in Exodus as I am that I am, meaning He, being outside of time, has our past, present, and future always before Him. There's no distinction. He's eternal. So what we think is past and unsalvageable, He still has access to. We don't. Just as He controls our future, but we can't. So when we surrender our past, then He can work it together for good. But He's not going to take it from us if we choose to hold on to it. He'll wait. And He'll wait us out. As I say this, I think of my daughter. When she was little, she loved coloring. And we were coloring one day, and she wanted me to draw her a yellow sun. But she had the yellow crayon. And she was refusing to give it to me, while at the same time demanding that I draw her a yellow sun. And she was really quite frustrated with me. Are we acting the same way with God? Can we hand over our past, our if-onlys, and allow Him to use them for our good? It's a matter of trust. Do I trust God has control of my life? Do I trust He can redeem my mistakes? Do I trust He will complete the good work He began in me? Do I trust I am where I need to be right now as He saw fit, and that I am blessed now? Because remember, if onlys take your focus off what you do have, and it shifts your heart away from God's blessings to your perceived lack. And the key word is perceived. See, the reality is that it's all a matter of perception. Both what ifs and if onlys are more about our perceptions of either the future or the past than the actual circumstances. And there's a famous story that I feel illustrates this very nicely. It's the parable of the Chinese farmer, and it goes like this. There once was a poor farmer who worked the soil with his son and their horse. And one day their horse ran away. The farmer's neighbor came over and said, "Oh, this is terrible. What an awful thing." And the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." 2 days later, the horse returned, but not alone. It brought a second horse with it. And the neighbor came back and said, "Oh, this is wonderful. What great luck." And again, the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." A few weeks later, the farmer's son fell off the new horse and badly broke his leg. The neighbor stopped by to say, "How horrible. Surely you have been cursed." And again, the farmer replies, "Maybe so, maybe not." Shortly thereafter, all the young men in the village were drafted to go and help fight off an invading army. Many of them died, but the farmer's son was spared from the draft because of his broken leg. And the neighbor told the farmer how lucky he was. Farmer's response, yep, maybe so, maybe not. The point being is we are not in any position to accurately judge the events in our life as good or bad. Only God knows. So what can we do? We want to put our trust back where it belongs. Trust God. Yes, recognize we made mistakes. Let's start that over. We want to put our trust back where it belongs, in God. We recognize that, yes, we make mistakes. We made bad choices or choices. We are not perfect. And we acknowledge that God is still in control of all of it. He was not thrown off guard by our choices. He was fully aware they would and they will happen. And his plan for us is good, despite all of our if-only moments. Surrender your past to the Lord, trusting his plan. You want to shift your focus back onto your current blessings. And I'd encourage you to keep a daily gratitude journal, either, handwritten or on a phone. Some people do it audio, whatever works for you. But be intentional in noticing what you do have, noticing the goodness of God now working in your life. And I'll also suggest that you keep track of how God has shown himself faithful to you in the past. Remembering his goodness to you in the past is going to strengthen your faith that he can do it again. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Psalm 77:11-15 says this, and we'll close here. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will consider all your works and meditate on all your mighty deeds. Your ways, God, are holy. What God is as great as our God? You are the God who performs miracles, and you display your power among the peoples. With your mighty arm, you redeemed your people, the descendants of Jacob and Joseph. Allow the Lord to redeem your past. Surrender the if-onlys to his mighty hand. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope you walked away a little stronger in your faith and freer in your mind. You are so loved. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. Leave your ratings and reviews, and engage with me on social media. I'd love to hear from you.